Hello everybody, Shrouded Hand here. Just sat here eating a pickled egg thinking about how people in other countries don't eat normal food like what we have in England. In fact, in the shadowy corners of the world's culinary landscape, there lurks an array of dishes that challenge the very notion of what is considered edible. So let's take a look at some of them. Grab your bags and join me on a journey through some of the most unusual food and drink in the world. Our first stop is China for a tipple called mouse wine. Known for its medicinal properties, this isn't something you'd be drinking every day with dinner. The process of making mouse wine is probably exactly how you imagine it to be. Newborn mice, no more than 3 days old and still blind, are packed down into a glass bottle. Rice wine is then poured in and the mice are drowned. They are then left to ferment for over a year. The finished product is usually about 1/3 full of pickled baby mice, and they form a kind of mousy sediment at the bottom of the bottle. The uses of this wine are many. Some people don't drink it, they just rub it on bruises to help with the healing. Others say that it helps with asthma and with liver disease. Those who have drank the mouse wine describe it as tasting like petrol. I guess if you're the kind of person who drinks fermented mice, then you're also the kind of person who knows what gasoline tastes like. Anyway, now that we've wet our whistle, let's go for a starter. And for that, we're going to travel to the frigid landscapes of Greenland. Kiviak is a traditional Inuit dish whose preparation is almost ritualistic. Making it is so labour intensive that it takes an entire village. Kiviak is traditionally eaten over the winter holidays. It's created by stuffing hundreds of little seabirds known as orcs into a dead seal. The dead birds go into the seal as it is, beaks, feathers, everything. Once the dead seal is completely packed full, it's sewn up and rubbed with seal fat before being stored under a pile of stones and left to ferment for several months. The rocks serve to keep much of the air out, meaning that the kiviak doesn't completely spoil. The oils and fats that are massaged into the seal skin also prevent flies from infesting the kiviak with maggots. Originally, kiviak was just about pure survival, a way to store food to last through the incredibly harsh winters. Over many generations, this process has been perfected. Once it's fermented, the seal is pulled out from under the stones, cut open, and then the birds are ready to eat. Occasionally the head of the orc is simply bitten right off and then the juice is squeezed straight into the mouth. Other people eat it by plucking off the feathers and then eating the meat raw. The most prized part of the bird is said to be the heart, but even the months-old fermented intestinal fluids can be used as a sauce for other dishes. As far as flavour goes, kiviak supposedly has a very pungent, rich flavour, described by some as being like a mature cheese or even licorice. Be careful eating it though, because this stuff can be dangerous. The polar and Greenland explorer Knud Rasmussen learned this the hard way. In 1933, he got food poisoning after eating kiviak. This food poisoning was so bad that it killed him. And Knud Rasmussen was a grizzled explorer and part Inuit, so he was used to eating this kind of stuff and it still killed him. Anyway, anyone fancy another drink? Let's head to South America. In its native Peruvian, this drink is called jugo de rana. In English, it's simply known as frog juice, and it's available for the equivalent of a few American dollars. Vendors have tanks full of live frogs. When somebody orders a frog juice, the vendor takes one of the frogs from the tank and kills it, skins it, and throws it into a blender. Other ingredients are added, such as honey and maca roots. The whole mixture is then blended up before being strained to remove any gristly lumps and bones. The mixture is then served up as a shot, meant to be drunk down quickly. Often it's followed up with a white spirit chaser, which is meant to clean up any remnants of frog puree from the cup. The frog that's used in frog juice is the Telmatobius culeus, more commonly known as the Lake Titicaca frog. It does have another appetizing name, the scrotum frog, due to, well, you can probably see. There are thought to be less than 50,000 of these frogs left in the world, and this number is rapidly declining due to deforestation, pollution, predation, and also the hundreds of juice stall owners just scooping them up and blending them into smoothies. Frog juice is part of the native Andeans' cultural heritage, a sacred beverage passed down through generations, meant to be treated with respect for its energy-giving and healing properties. It's also turned out to be a pretty good money spinner though. It's marketed to tourists as Peruvian Viagra, and it has people lining up down the street ready to slurp down their very own glass of blended frog. Okay, for our main course we're going to travel back to Asia, and you probably already know they have a tradition of trying to eat the freshest seafood possible, and sometimes this is taken to extreme lengths. For some this extends to the eating of animals that are still alive. There's beliefs about certain nutrients or vitamins being lost in animals that have been dead a long time compared to those that have just been killed. An animal that's still alive shows that the food is as fresh as it possibly can be. I probably won't be showing any pictures of these dishes, you'll see why, but you can find videos of it on YouTube already if you want to seek them out for yourself. In Thailand and parts of the Philippines, there's a dish that's known as dancing shrimp salad, or gung ten, and it's become massively popular, especially with tourists. It makes for some exciting holiday photos and maybe a short video to freak out your social media friends. It's also kind of horrific for the shrimp. In dancing shrimp salad, a traditional spicy salad is laid out in a bowl before being topped with dozens of live shrimp. The shrimp are then doused in fresh lime juice, and this is when they start to dance. Citric acid can be used to cook fish and meat. In dishes like ceviche, fish is marinated in lime juice. This cooks the flesh without using heat. In the same way, these shrimp, when the lime juice is poured over them, are being slowly cooked. Their proteins are being broken down whilst they're still alive. No wonder then that they dance about, leaping off the plate as they begin to be dissolved, their proteins being denatured. I should also point out that shrimp have no eyelids. If you've ever got lemon or lime juice in your eye, then you'll know their pain. Some studies have shown that crustaceans like crab, lobster and shrimp do feel pain and experience distress, and whilst the shrimp's nervous system isn't as complex as our own, I can still imagine being slowly melted to death with citric acid is a pretty horrible way to go. Anyway, let's head back to China now, and we're going to have a controversial dish known as yin yang fish, or dead alive fish. This dish was actually created in Taiwan, but since then it's been banned there due to the outrage at its sheer barbarism, but you can still get it in China. The creation of dead alive fish is an extremely ghoulish process. First, the top quarter of the fish, often a carp, is wrapped in ice to preserve the brain, gills and some of the upper body. The rest of the fish is then flash fried in boiling oil before being quickly smothered in sauce and served to the customers. As the brain and some of the essential organs were protected from the heat, the cooked fish continues to writhe and twitch about, its perfectly intact eyes still seeing. It has to then watch as people dive in with their chopsticks, pulling out parts of its flesh and eating it. Over the sea in Japan, there's a style of sashimi known as ikizukuri, which focuses on serving live creatures. These dishes utilize many different aquatic creatures such as fish, sea urchins, octopi and frogs. The head and the gills of the animal are often retained, whilst the muscles of their bodies is artistically sliced, twisted and arranged for consumption. It's then served up, the head flailing, twitching, the gills heaving. If this happened to a human, it would be a scene straight out of a Hellraiser movie, but with fish, it's considered the height of culinary artistry. Before we leave Japan, I've just got to show you this dish. The waro soba, also known as the alien of the Ariake Sea. The waro soba is a pretty hideous looking eel that lives in the muddy bottom of the ocean off Japan and Korea. Dumplings are formed around the fried or boiled heads of the fish to make it appear as though it's a beast emerging from the dumpling parcel. It ends up looking like a hatching xenomorph egg from the Alien films, a truly nightmarish sight. Then again, in Britain we have stargazy pie, which isn't much better. Anyway, it's time for our dessert, and our last stop for today is Haiti. We're going to have mud cookies. And these are pretty much exactly what you imagine. Dirt served as food. Historically, Haitian mud cookies, or bonbon terre, have a long history as a folk medicine, and they were given to children and pregnant mothers. It was thought that the minerals contained in the dirt would help them. In the modern era, however, medical science regards this practice as causing more harm than good, the baked mud causing constipation and destroying teeth. Despite this, mud cookies are still incredibly popular simply because they provide an extremely cheap way of filling an empty stomach. Natural disasters, wrecked infrastructure, political instability, violence and chaos means that out of the 11 million people that live in Haiti, 5 million of them live in extreme poverty and don't have enough to eat. Mud cookies, therefore, are something eaten out of sheer desperation. The process of making a mud cookie is fairly simple. After dirt is purchased, it's then sieved to remove any unwelcome lumps and stones. The material is then mixed with a little salt and fat before being formed into discs and baked in the sun, often just outside on the litter-strewn filthy pavement. These cookies are then sold and eaten in and around the slum areas of Haiti. The dirt that goes into mud cookies is often gathered from a particular area at the centre of the country known as Hinch. The mud there is a mix of normal dirt and a certain type of clay known as kaolin. You might have heard of kaolin before. It's often used in the Western world as a face mask. Kaolin, when consumed in large quantities, can cause a blockage in the intestines and causes the digestive function to grind to a halt. One article describes a woman who eats the cookies because she enjoys the buttery, salty taste, although she says it did cause her stomach pains. A reporter also tried the cookies and said they had a smooth consistency that sucked all the moisture out of the mouth as soon as it touched the tongue. They said that for hours an unpleasant taste of dirt lingered in the mouth. But of course, taste isn't too important. Mostly these cookies exist just to give the stomach a feeling of fullness. Even though the mud cookies have very little nutritional value, they give the body the illusion of having eaten a meal. So there we go, that's the end of our culinary journey. Horrific foods from around the world. And I'm really only scratching the surface here. There's many more crazy dishes out there that I could have covered, so I may well return to this topic in the future. Oh, and before I go, check out this beast. A friend of mine built me a PC and I just wanted to show it off because it looks really cool. He's trying to start up his PC building business, and from my experience he does a very good job. I didn't get this for free or anything. This isn't sponsored, it's just me trying to help out a friend with his new business. I'll put a link to his website and his Instagram down below. If you're in the market for a new PC, go check it out. As you can see, he does some amazing custom work. As always, thank you very much to everyone on Patreon for supporting the channel. Apologies that the videos are coming out a bit slow recently. I've been suffering from persistent headaches. I was freaking out thinking I was getting a brain tumour. I still might be, but I think it might just be eye strain. It seems like my eyesight is deteriorating a bit as I get older, so yeah, apologies. Hopefully once I get a new pair of glasses I'll be back on track. Alright, catch you next time everybody. Goodbye.